Listen up, club members. It's time for the Red Acre recap. On the lookout for a good cookout. Listen, usually we talk about what happened last week, but we gotta say, your lights were on point this week. We got enough info to tempt the hunter to the dinner table, so let us break it down for you. Here's the need to know. Weka went over how her personality was tempted out, so to speak. She wanted to be rewarded for a job well done. It was her pride that pulled more of her forward into the Watcher. When she was trapped into the place between and divided from the other Watchers, she became more of herself. More of what we see today. For better or for worse. Grandmother also said that the club could get other quirks and personalities to surface in Watchers. The only problem is, Watchers have been warned against the club, so unless you have mad Watcher cred, throwing around names might not work. At least not with them acting defensively first. Weka suggests the club will need someone the Watchers trust, or better yet, someone who can bring out the quirks firsthand. The Dare had the latest deets on Flower Dad last week. According to Tid, Die For You believes that the hunter is targeting Seed the Grudge next. That's why Die For You is trying so hard to incite a fight with the hunter. He wants to protect his leader and his sister. Which is great, but also according to Tid, if the martyr actually dies to the hunter, he will not come back. It's gonna be a real high-stakes match. Because one is aware that the kids are attempting to use the names to divide the Watchers. They are wary of this now, but they also seem uneasy about all this gossip regarding Sundown. They reiterate that Sundown is not there to bring death, but rather to prevent bloodshed by suppressing more people into acceptance. I mean, mass suppression doesn't sound great either. Maybe I'd feel better about Sundown if it was a community barbecue or something. Anyways, Gwen shared some of her own opinions on the club. She thinks that the club could do better at sharing ideas and the sort, that the voices all play these spy games against each other, but the club doesn't have to, and we can all talk to each other. While that may seem like you've already got a full plate, here's some delicious desserts that also drifted in this week.
The Measure Cuts was asked if the old tongue phrase, hide thy flesh from the beast through his war, what an old tongue twister, could be used to hide. The Measure Cuts responded by saying that if it was performed and intoned in time with another person, it could offer some protection from Speak as One, and possibly prevent Speak as One from signaling their hosts. But it won't stop the shape, since the shape comes 100% certified old tongue proof by nature. And let's face it, that's a lot of probablys, possiblys, and maybes. But that's science for you. The Dare talked about how the Measure Cuts helps the pact meet in the place between. Without the Measure Cuts, the pact is separate. Bringing all the pact members together in the place between is a skill only the Measure Cuts possesses. The Dare also mentions that the Measure Cuts speaks through Gwen very rarely, and even that costs him dearly. He really should talk to his phone provider. Unlimited text messaging is a necessity. Speak as One shockingly stopped traumatizing club members long enough to have a very interesting conversation about the voice in Topanish. We know that this voice speaks only through imagery, but we learned a bit more this week. Speak as One referred to the voice as the Eidolon. Excuse us while we give you the dictionary definition because we know you were asleep in Greeklet. The Eidolon is an idolized person or thing, or a specter or phantom. In ancient Greek literature, an Eidolon is a spirit image or a living or dead person, a shade or phantom look-alike of the human form. Speak as One went on to say that this Eidolon deals in illusion, which it broadcasts straight from the screen. Yes, the screen, as in computer, laptop, phone, television, screen. It might speak through a character you love or a nightly news anchor, and then it slowly alters your mind. Instead of hearing what the person on the screen is saying, you start hearing the voice of, well, the voice, and it will start telling you to do things. Once it has its hooks in you, it doesn't even need the screen to control you. You slowly lose the ability to discern between reality and illusions, while the Eidolon keeps you stuck in a waking fever dream. Forever. Holy Doritos! This is the only time I'll say it, but I was relieved to hear Speak as One say that they have taken many precautions to make sure Redacre is safe from it. But are the precautions enough? Okay, on to things that feel only slightly less like scary bedtime stories. Weka told us that anything that is touched by the Aidair is placed with Group 6 saturation. How many groups are there? What do the levels mean? Is it golf score rules? Who knows? Weka says that while it hasn't been used as of recently due to the, culling of all of the Aidair's hosts, she recalls 2 being locked inside, Colm Ryan and another young man who had found the town of his own accord. This dude had given the voices obviously fake names and was locked in saturation control for a short time before vanishing and then escaping Redacre shortly after. Sounds like a pretty harsh punishment, knowing how many of you send sassy lights from the boxcar. We can hear you, you know. It's just made of wood. Anyway, on to things we do want to hear you whispering about in the boxcar this week.
HQ still wants to figure out what is on that musical cipher that they intercepted. Dax thinks the club may have to entice a watcher to talk about it with them, but notes that they will only talk to kids they think are loyal. Hey, lucky for us, we have a watcher. Have you all been baking Granny sugary treats and have been giving her compliments like, "My, what big teeth you have, Grandma"? Maybe you can ask Granny how to decode the message then. Stalker peeps, I'd watch your backs. Speak as One seems to be on the lookout for whoever has been leaking Sundown info, hearsay or otherwise, to the club. Weka has been dropping hints on how she was made different from the other Watchers. Yeah. So maybe it's time to take that information we learned and see if we can apply it somewhere else. AKA, let's wake another Watcher and see if they all are just as old and as cranky as Granny is. Nothing feels as good as getting yelled at to get off my porch once as it is hearing it twice. Oh, and for God's sakes, please share your info. Queen Gwen is not going to ask twice. Alright then, club members. That's what you need to know for this week's Redacre Recap. Stay safe, stay smart, and stay awake. Over and out.